Links to previous episodes are given in the video description, so don't forget to like, subscribe and share the video. The Lycan's Last Breath. Episode 8. Chapter 7. Vera, the heartbeat I felt as my own, the feeling of uneasiness and foreboding, wasn't mine at all. It was Lucas. Another perk of being part witch, I can sometimes feel other people's emotions. Especially people I care about. Nobody seems to realize what's happening right now, but I do. Violet is his mate. All this time, his feeling of uneasiness was in fact because his mate was close, but he was fighting his instinct to look for her because of his fear. They're both staring at each other with equal ambivalence, they don't move an inch. Violet, explain yourself. One of the uncles shouts. Young lady. Another one says. Nothing seems to snap her out of it. Lucas takes a step forward, completely enthralled by the sight of his mate. I step to the side, blocking his path. As much as I'm happy Lucas has found his mate, and it happens to be my mate's supposed future wife, this is a very volatile situation, and numbers are definitely not on our side. Cecil moves towards her daughter, putting her hand gently on her shoulder. Daughter, don't be afraid, you can speak freely. This seems to break Violet's trance. What? She stutters. You told me you were worried about the king being ill last night, so you wanted to bring him some tea to his room, is that right? Yes, of course, Violet says, still looking directly at Lucas and no one else. Lucas, I whisper. Hey, he responds, not paying any attention to me. Snap out of it. I say, pushing him discreetly towards the door. What's going on? Caleb follows. Violet is Lucas's mate. Caleb stops, wide-eyed. No, he says. Yes. Oh, goddess. This whole trip just keeps getting worse. Come on, kid. Walk with me. Caleb helps me shove Lucas towards the door, cautious that nobody sees us. Noah has caught on and is giving me a quizzical look, while everyone else is focused on Violet. Mate. I mouth, and Noah's eyes go wide, looking between Lucas and Violet quickly. I see him mouth once he realizes what's going on. We're lucky nobody has noticed our interaction. Did she in fact enter your bedroom, Your Majesty? One of the voices demands. I don't know, I wasn't there. What? So, it's true. Explain yourself, Your Majesty. All the voices are jumbled together as we finally step out of the room with Lucas. Okay. Here's the thing, kid. If she's your mate, it can't happen like this. If Lucas looks offended, how can she not be my mate? She perfect. She smells of cinnamon and roses and dessert. She's incredible, he trails off, sidestepping us to try and enter the room again. Yes. Okay. She's your mate, but you have to understand, she's not just any Lycan. This has to be done politically. Caleb pleads with him. Nonsense. He says. Lucas, please think about this. We will make sure you two are together, I promise, but right now, Violet is suspected to have been in Noah's room. If you know what that means, you know how delicate this is. Realization crosses his face, quickly followed by anger. His Lycan eyes begin to swirl in his pupils instantly. No. Lucas, listen to me. I step in front of him, blocking his way. It's not true. Noah was with me the entire night. I don't care. I will kill him. He shouts. Oh, goddess! I never knew this mate thing could be so intense. When I met Noah, he was half dead. I wonder if he would have been this intense had he been healthy and awake. A fist flies in front of my face, taking me by surprise. Caleb just punched Lucas, right across his cheek. Hard. Get your shit together, kid. Did you not hear Vera? Noah has not touched your mate. Now, stay calm, and stay away until we can sort this mess out. He's speaking in a low, stern voice. Lucas's eyes go back to normal. Are you sure he hasn't touched her? I raise an eyebrow at him. Honestly, I'm surprised you would even think him capable of that considering he has a mate. I narrow my eyes at him. Okay, yeah, of course you're right. I've never felt anything like this before. It's like I can't breathe but at the same time, like I'm breathing clean air for the first time. It doesn't make sense. No, it doesn't. I pat his back gently, letting him calm down before taking him out of the manor. Then, the doors open and Eli emerges from behind them. It's getting nasty in there, he says, his voice grave. I immediately go to him, nodding at Caleb. I got him, don't worry, he says, seeing Lucas out. What was that about? Eli asks. Violet is Lucas's mate. Eli stops right before entering the dining room, his expression one of disbelief. Okay, let's save that bombshell for some other time, you have to get in there. I know we said that it would be a bad idea for you to fight her, but you have to marry our niece, Your Highness. What kind of king would defile a young lady and not be made responsible for her? You are an honorless king. Fake King Noah. Your father would be ashamed of you. When I enter the room, all of the men have started surrounding Noah, who is holding up his hands. What makes you think I touched her? He says, trying to defend himself. Obviously she fainted at the memory. Do you not see her, Your Highness? Are you blind? Why else would she collapse if not out of embarrassment? I search for Violet in the crowd. She has indeed collapsed and her mother is holding her in her arms as some maids fan her. Quick, get her some water. Cecil yells. One of the maids quickly gets up and goes into the corridor that leads to the kitchen. Fake King Noah. The men are chanting. Enough. I step forward, Eli close behind. Watch how you speak to your king. Unless you can prove that he had his way with Lady Violet, I suggest you keep your mouth shut. Or would you anger the true king of the Lycans? I'm livid. Vera is correct, indeed, William says. Tradition states that a test must be conducted to see if Lady Violet is still untouched. I almost puke in my mouth as he says that. I will not allow my daughter to be humiliated in this way. Cecil shouts, handing her daughter to one of the maids to tend to. Cousin, it is the way it is, you know better than to stand in the way of tradition. Tradition. You speak to me about tradition while this whore freely entertains the king. A wolf. She points to me. I immediately turn to Noah, feeling his aura. William, Eli, and I have felt it before, so we are not taken aback. But the rest of the people in here take several steps away from him in fear, unsure of what's going on. His Lycan eyes are swirling in his pupils, and this is the very moment where everything can go to hell. Instead of creating a bridge between the castle and the families, we will end whatever semblance of a relationship that still exists. To hell with it. If tradition is so important to them, let's do this by the books. I challenge Violet to a duel for Noah. Everyone turns to look at me following a deafening silence. A wolf would defy a Lycan. Someone says. Not a wolf, the king's mate. From what I understand, if Violet wins, she gets to marry Noah. If I win, she abandons all notions of ever becoming queen. I say, confidently. I turn to Noah now. Instead of looking murderous like he did a few seconds ago, he looks amused. I look back at Cecil and she's smirking. Very well, I accept the challenge on Violet's behalf. Once she is well, of course. Of course, I repeat. This seems to please everyone as they all have nasty smiles on their faces. Quickly, everyone begins dispersing, content with the outcome of this little ruse. Even Violet has begun to wake up and is taken to her room. When the room is completely empty and it's just us in here, Eli comes to stand next to me, smirking. It's about time they learn to respect our true queen. Vera, so, what's the plan? William asks, coming into the cabin looking flustered. Eli, Lucas, Caleb, Noah, and I have been in here for a few hours trying to figure out what our next steps should be. Eli raises his eyebrow at him. Plan for what, exactly? For the fight. I never thought it would come to this. Quite frankly, I was hoping Violet would be able to charm the king and all of this would be avoided. Lucas snorts and Noah growls. I narrow my eyes at him. Oh, come on. You both knew this was the plan all along. All of the council was behind it, you two can't be this naive. Then why did you step in for us? Caleb asks. Because I value family honor, and what Violet did, or attempted to do, lacked honor and grace. Well, aren't we lucky? Eli says sarcastically. Now come, sit, we have another matter at hand, he says, motioning William to an empty chair. We explain everything to William and I watch as his face pale with horror, much to my delight. This plan of his has backfired immensely. Tell me this isn't true, Lucas. Oh, so now you know my name. This isn't a joke. I'm well aware. Lucas yells, his Lycan eyes swirling. He's been incredibly sensitive these past few hours. From Noah, I know that it's the natural pull they feel when they find their mate, it's undeniable and overwhelming. He is literally suffering by not being at her side right now. William, you know Cecil better than us, how can we get her to accept Lucas as Violet's mate? Noah asks, crossing his arms. We can't, William says with finality. There has to be a way, I say, once I defeat her, she won't have any claim to Noah, so what are her prospects? Other families like hers, coming from some sort of nobility. They could join territories even, making the proposal that much more attractive. But what about what Violet wants? I saw the look in her eye. She seemed as captivated by Lucas as he was with her. Caleb chimes in. That may be true, but much like the royal family and royal children, there is tradition and there are politics. Violet is Cecil's last bargaining chip, if you will. She won't let go so easily. We all stay quiet for a while. This is what we feared. Even if Violet mustered the courage to leave Cecil behind, we would be essentially kidnapping her in her mother's eyes, making all of this mess a political nightmare. Okay, but I really have to ask, are you not worried at all about Vera fighting Violet? Even if Vera is trained as a fighter, Violet is still a Lycan. William asks after a while, truly in disbelief. Eli chuckles. Noah and Lucas just look at him, confused. Oh, that's right, Eli finally says. The council was hiding when we were all risking our lives to defeat Alistair's army. Eli runs a hand through his hair. Listen, William, this might strike you as a surprise, but Vera beat actual warrior Lycans in that battle, not to mention Alistair and that witch. What makes you think she can't take down a little girl? Lucas growls furiously at this. Oh, shut up. You know it's true. Besides, what fighting experience can Violet possibly have? Have you forgotten Vera took down a literal mythical creature, before getting her beast? Lucas calms down, but then turns to me with concern. Vera, you can't hurt her. Please, I know this is unconventional, but you can't hurt her. She's a good person, I can feel it. I smile at him. I won't, Lucas. And then there's the other thing. Caleb says. Ah, yes. You think you can take care of that, Doc? Eli asks. Sure, I don't think it'll be a problem anyway. What other thing? William asks, glancing at each of us, searching for answer. Noah gets up. Don't concern yourself with that, William. Come, walk with me, there's something I have to discuss with you privately. Noah snakes his arm around William's shoulders as they leave the cabin, William flinching slightly at the gesture. I frown. What's that about? I ask the guys. Beats me, Caleb says. Eli simply shrugs. One more thing, Caleb says. Lucas, you should stay here, or wherever, far away from the battle. What? No discussions. First, you're too volatile right now. What's to say you won't attack Vera in the middle of the fight? Second, if you do, and you probably will, it will be a dead giveaway of your feelings for Violet, and we have to keep that a secret for now. Lucas sulks, but there is no arguing. If there is something that we have all agreed on, including him, is that we have to keep this under wraps until we figure out how to handle it so that they can be together. If Cecil finds out before we can offer her something she'll agree to, she may force Violet to reject him. There's a faint knock on the door that draws me out of my thoughts. Come in, Caleb says, moving to the small kitchen to prepare some tea. Excuse me, my lords, lady. Jeremy comes through the door, bowing slightly. Queen Cecil has scheduled the fight for tonight at 7 p.m. It will be held at the main courtyard, at the center of the manor. Please, be there on time. He bows again as he leaves. Good, you have some time to rest, Caleb says, placing an empty mug in front of Lucas, Eli, and myself. Rest? She should train before the fight so she can be done with Violet quickly, Eli says. Lucas once again growls. You know, I'm getting real tired of your shit, boy, Eli says, pointing a finger at him. Calm down, Caleb says, filling up our mugs with tea. What he's going through is natural, he's not doing it on purpose. Eli grunts, taking his mug and drinking his tea. Vera, you have to promise, Lucas is looking at me. Lucas, I won't hurt her, I promise. As much as I find it cute that he's so worried about her, he's getting on my nerves too. Where do you think the magic is coming from? Caleb asks me. To be honest with you, I don't know, but I have a feeling it's not Violet. Cecil then. Perhaps. But your ears rang when Violet entered the room, that doesn't mean it's her, necessarily, so, what can we expect for the fight? I sigh, taking my mug in my hands. Old man, just expect the unexpected. I trust my abilities enough to deal with it. The magical charge, so to speak, was so faint that I doubt it's coming from a powerful source. We all stay quiet after that, sipping on our tea. When I'm done, I excuse myself and leave the cabin. It felt stuffy all of a sudden. I am not one to get nervous before a fight, but I'm feeling anxious all of a sudden. I go down to the woods behind the cabin, making my way past the stables and the water well. Just stepping into the forest makes me calm down, so I sit down, crossing my legs and resting my back to one of the trees. I close my eyes and focus on my breathing. Meditating has helped me manage stress for as long as I can remember, and now it helps me control my magic. I breathe in and out slowly, allowing my body to relax. Soon, my wolf is with me, wagging her tail as she comes join me. She lays down and relaxes next of me. It warms my heart that she's so happy every time she sees me. We both sync our breathing and soon, we are deep in our meditation. In my mind, I travel through all of the forest, almost like connecting to the tree's root system and navigating through it. For some reason, my mind is being drawn in a specific direction, contrary to other times where my mind simply wanders throughout the forest. In time, I come across a place that looks like a greenhouse, full of lush herbs and dangling flowers. What is this doing in the middle of nowhere? My wolf also perks up at this discovery, pointing her ears forward. Suddenly, she takes off in the direction of the greenhouse, running with her tail raised. Vera! I hear a voice in the real world, causing me to lose my connection. I open my eyes to Caleb crouched beside me. It's time, he says, his hand on my shoulder. What? Already? I'm genuinely bewildered. When I came here, I still had several hours left before the fight. You've been gone quite a while, the fight starts in 30 minutes, you should get ready. I frown. Has it really been that long? I always dive deep into my meditation, but it has never made me lose track of time in this way. I get up, dusting myself off, and follow Caleb back, not before turning one last time in the direction of the greenhouse, wondering what my wolf might find there. Vera, I opted for a simple outfit for the battle, leggings, a sports bra, and a fitted t-shirt. I also go barefoot into all of my trainings, and really, this is pretty much that to me. When I get to the courtyard, accompanied by Eli and Caleb, Noah is already there and he meets us at the door. He stands in front of me, taking my face in his hands and giving me a quick kiss. This is the first time we display any form of affection in front of everyone, but I guess he's done caring about politics. Are you ready? He asks. Always, I smile up to him. Soon, the courtyard becomes crowded as we are all waiting for Violet and Cecil to make their grand appearance. The lights in the room dim after a few minutes and the doors from their sides swing open dramatically. Oh goddess, I moan, experiencing second-hand embarrassment for such theatrics. For sake, I hear Eli grunt. I've noticed Eli is a purist when it comes to fighting. All of this nonsense is not only unnecessary, but also distracting, and not in a good way. I turn to Noah who is wrinkling his nose at their entrance. If you don't win, I'm taking them out myself, he says, frowning at their attempt at intimidation. I huff. You wish, I say. I take his hands from my face and lower them, then I make my way to the center of the courtyard, where an outline has been drawn to simulate a fighting ring. I begin stretching, cracking my neck, arms, and back. I don't need theatrics, I just need this thing to be over soon. When Violet finally emerges from the crowd, who have taken their time to cheer for her, pat her in the back, and encourage her, she comes to meet me at the center, my ears once again ringing lightly. I move my head to a side, analyzing her and trying to figure out what about her is magical. It's on her, but not really coming from her, if that makes sense. Then, she takes off her robe and tosses it to the side, revealing her outfit. Oh goddess! She can't be serious. I raise an eyebrow and behind me I hear someone laugh explosively, only to cover up the laughter with coughing. Of course, it was Eli. She is wearing full body armor, heavy metal, chunky boots, and all. You really should have worn a little more protection, mutt, she says, her voice aggressive. I raise an eyebrow. You do realize all that shit does is slow you down, right? I mean, no offense, but it's not like you have the muscle tone to carry all that, I say, not at all impressed with her trash talk. She growls, her Lycan swirling in her eyes. I know now that this battle will be really easy. A good fighter never loses its temper, especially not at the beginning of the battle. You might as well expose your neck to me and be done with it. Thank you all for joining us as witnesses of this fight, where Vera, His Highness's maid, has challenged Violet, of the House Cerulean, for the right to the throne and the king's hand in marriage. William begins talking. Each fighter has the right to use one weapon and one weapon only. There will be no swaps and there will be no replacement if the weapon were to be damaged. There will be no outside interference and there will be no time limit to this fight. The first person to submit the other, will be declared the winner. Are we all in agreement? He asks, looking at Cecil and Noah, who simply nod. Both parties are in agreement. He raises his arm. Begin. The crowd goes wild, chanting Violet's name. Doc. Eli says, tossing me my spear. Oh, how I missed it. I grab it while Violet unsheaths a golden sword with her family crest on it. She laughs. You think you can defeat me with that? Please. She launches her first attack. Even with her bravado, her technique and choices make it painfully obvious that she's inexperienced in actual combat. I roll my eyes and easily dodge her every attack. Go for the neck. Someone chants in the crowd. Kill her. Someone else says. Even if the comments are meant to throw me off, all they're doing is distracting Violet. After a few minutes, Violet is getting noticeably tired from trying to attack me as she's carrying such heavy armor. Rookie! Come on, Mutt! Stop running away! She yells, almost panting. Something is off with her. I had never seen her this worked up, not even when I called her out during the dinner. That day, she simply excused herself nervously. This Violet seems like a completely different person. And ruin the fun? No way, I say, dodging her again and again. After about 20 minutes have passed, she's panting heavily, the crowd getting exasperated. Finish her! They chant, as if they're not witnessing the same fight I am. This girl will sooner drop dead from exhaustion than land a punch on me. Stop! She swings her sword, running, her sword hits the ground, away, she swings her sword again, from me, she roars, as her sword, unsurprisingly, misses me again. As she's panting with her sword on the ground, I smirk. Fine. If she's so desperate to end this. I run closer to her and her eyes go wide as they lose me for a moment. I have run behind her and before she understands what happened, my spear is cutting her cheek. It's a superficial wound, but enough to draw quite a bit blood. I did promise Lucas I wouldn't hurt her, but she'll heal before he sees her again anyway. I quickly step away from her, having that first cut only be a warning. She can end this any time before she gets seriously injured. The crowd goes silent. She straightens her posture, letting her sword fall to the ground. Her eyes are wide, like a rabid animal's, as her hand slowly goes to her cheek where she feels the warm blood. She's looking straight at me. I will kill you! She yells, taking off her armor in one swift movement, and turning into her Lycan. Well, I poked the bear, what did I expect? Female Lycans, unlike males, are slightly smaller and thinner, built for speed rather than brute force. I know from my experience, that they pack a weaker punch, but are much faster than their counterparts. She roars furiously as she charges at me, full speed and full force. I am still able to dodge her, but such intensive workout will tire me out quickly. I need to put an end to this. As she's attacking, she's once again not using the proper technique since she leaves too many openings for me to attack her. When she launches her fists forward, trying to grab me, I kick her feet. As she tries to kick me, I jump and kick her in the face. Of course, this only angers her more, and if I really want to submit her, I might have to go back on the promise I made to Lucas. This time, when she attempts to kick me, I jump up on her leg, using her kick as leverage to jump over her and land on her shoulders. I begin punching her in the head with all my might, as she desperately thrashes and claws at me, managing to injure my legs with her claws so I retreat, bleeding. Screw it! I'm sorry, Lucas. I grab my spear from the ground where I had placed it and charge at her full force. She tries to stop me with her paws but she can't and I come into her stomach with the back of my spear, knocking the wind out of her. She falls to her knees, trying to gasp for air. I run at her again and kick her 2 times, right on her face. She spits out blood and I kick her again on the other side of her face. I keep coming at her, retreating every other kick to assess my position and where to attack next. The next 2 to 3 minutes, I attack her mercilessly, kicking her head, chest, shoulders, arms, until she's no longer even trying to protect herself. On the final kick, I get her straight in her face, feeling a crunch on the ball of my foot of her bones breaking. She falls forward to the floor face down, turning back to her human form, clearly unconscious. I'm panting. Maybe this was a little more intense than training, after all. The crowd is once again deadly silent. Then, out of the corner of my eye, I notice a figure moving towards me, but it's too late. It lands a heavy punch right to the side of my face, sending me flying out of the fighting ring. The punch disorients me for a few seconds, not understanding exactly where it came from or from whom. The force with which it sent me flying almost makes me suspicious that it was Lucas, but my suspicions are laid to rest when the figure comes over me, attempting to punch me more. "You stupid whore!" Cecil screams as she comes over me, pinning me to the ground and throwing punches at my face, forcing me to protect myself with my arms. "You were supposed to turn into your wolf, you." What? The shock quickly subsides and it allows me to think quickly. I have to get her off of me. I raise my knees from under her, arching my back to dive them into her stomach and remove myself from under her grip. She's heavier than I expected and solidly planted to the ground, but I manage to get her off and put some distance between us after a few seconds of struggling. "You crazy," I say as I spit the blood that was pooling inside my mouth from her punches. I look over to the fighting ring and Violet is being tended to by the maids who have covered her body with a blanket. Something catches my eye though. One of the maids that is tending to her has a striking resemblance to the figure my wolf and I saw last night. Now that I focus on her, my ears begin to ring. Cecil throws another punch at me, and then another, breaking my concentration. Whoever that girl is, I will take care of her after putting this psycho down. I had only promised not to hurt Violet. Cecil on the other hand. Out of the corner of my eye, I notice Noah and the rest of the guys are being surrounded by the now mob-like crowd. Noah and I lock eyes, and we are both feeling the same thing. Intense anger. I shake my head slightly, letting him know that I'll take care of Cecil and he nods, focusing back on the mob. None of them have turned into their Lycan form, but Eli's and Noah's eyes are turning black, evidently waiting for an attack. "Why won't you turn?" Cecil lands a punch to my ribs, causing me to step back and cradle my torso with one arm as the other one is blocking her attacks. Clearly, Cecil is a much more adept fighter than her daughter, strategically throwing punches and retreating when necessary. She's got nothing on me, though. I square up, tired of being defensive. Moving quickly, I lower myself when I get close to Cecil, expecting her to throw a punch to stop me. When she does, I land 2 powerful strikes to her belly, causing her to take a few steps back. Not allowing her an inch of relief, I once again come for her, this time kicking her legs. Her legs don't buckle and she takes advantage of our closeness to try and land a strike to my face. I block it with my left arm, using my right fist to punch her in the face. Once again, she takes a few steps back, but this time she reads my next move and fools me into believing she is going to punch again. Instead, she strikes me with her leg right on the wounds that her daughter inflicted on me before. Motherfu, I curse. She smirks to herself, satisfied, but she makes one terrible mistake, she puts distance between us. Taking advantage of this, I put my hands on the floor, taking her by surprise, and gyrate my body so that my feet hit her stomach and jaw. Then, coming to a squat on the ground, I use my legs to catapult myself straight at her, head-butting her in the jaw. She staggers back, nursing her now inflamed. I can't say I'm in much better condition, I feel that my face is also swollen and my legs are still bleeding. Enough! She roars furiously and turns into her Lycan, ripping through her dress. I take the opportunity to run towards the fighting ring, looking for a weapon. I can't see my spear anywhere, so I take Violet's sword instead. The hairs on my nape rise as Cecil comes near me, so I quickly turn around and duck, flinging the sword in her general direction. Fortunately, it manages to leave a nasty wound on her stomach. She's panting, I don't know if out of tiredness or anger. Then, she roars loudly like a mad animal and I have to cover my ears at the noise. Well, that answers my question. She launches at me again and again, her Lycan making her more agile and powerful. In my mind, I feel my wolf inching closer to the surface, she's growling with her canines fully showing. She's as angry as I am. Easy now, I tell her in my head. I can't let her get too close to the surface or my eyes will begin to change, and for anyone paying close attention and with enough knowledge, that will be a dead giveaway for what I really am. Then, the figure I had seen previously, the maid that had been tending to Violet, comes back into the courtyard. Queen! You can use the powder even if she doesn't turn. She yells. Powder? What powder? Cecil's Lycan smirks sadistically as the girl tosses her a little leather pouch. Cecil rips it open with her teeth and throws it at me. It lands directly on my chest, powder spreading all over me in a thick cloud that limits my visibility. It's a green-gray tail that smells absolutely disgusting. All of the clamoring dies down as everyone turns to me, expectant. What the heck is this thing? Cecil doesn't move an inch and that stupid smirk of hers only grows wider. As the cloud of powder dissipates, my eyes begin to slightly sting and my breathing is labored, I begin to scrunch my nose at the sensation. Then, I let out a thunderous sneeze. Whatever this thing is, it gave me freaking allergies. What is wrong with you, you crazy? I tell her as I rub my itchy nose, exasperated with her antics. Her face falls, I'm assuming this is not the reaction she expected. She turns quickly towards the girl and so do I, her face is pale and she's taking several steps back. I'm sorry. It should have worked. I don't know what happened. I narrow my eyes at her, was this supposed to poison me? Incapacitate me? I turn my head towards Noah and the rest of them, everyone has been paying close attention at the scene unfolding in front of them. I lock eyes with Eli and nod in the girl's direction, he nods back and I know he understood, we need to get her. She begins running, but so does Eli and she's no Lycan. None of the other people present care enough about her to save her, they're much too concerned with Cecil and myself. I play with the sword in my hand, I'm tired of this shit. Hey! I draw Cecil's attention away from where the girl has taken off running, she turns to me and I sprint towards her. using her distraction against her as I realize she won't be able to predict my move. Instead of attacking her head-on as she assumes I will, I go to my knees, passing below her legs. I stand up quickly, before she realizes where I've gone, and sink the sword deep into her shoulder. She screeches in pain, clawing frenziedly at her back trying to remove the sword unsuccessfully. Out of the corner of my eye, I spot my spear. One of the members of the crowd is holding it. I walk towards him and he steps back on impulse. I extend my hand towards the man who is looking at me with a stupefied look on his face. He carefully hands me my weapon and I make my way back to Cecil. She has now turned into her human form and has managed to remove the sword from her shoulder. She's nursing her arm carefully. I made sure to insert the sword in her scapula. Something I know is debilitatingly painful. Submit. I tell her as I approach her. She looks at me defiantly. Never, she seethes. Submit, I say once again, playing with my spear between my hands. Did you not hear me, mutt? Never. Submit, I say yet again, completely calm and inching closer to her. I would rather die. I turn to Noah, Caleb, and Eli. They all have a resolute look on their faces. Noah nods once. I sigh. As you wish, I say, turning to Cecil and lifting my spear. She refuses to close her eyes and decides to stare at me, challenging, waiting to be struck down. I lift it and just as I'm about to strike her down, a voice calls from within the crowd, halting me. Stop! It yells. Vera, stop! Violet comes rushing down, pushing the crowd aside as she makes her way to her mother. Please! Please have mercy! She kneels down in front of me, covering Cecil. No! Do not get in the way! I lost in battle to this mutt, I deserve death. Cecil says, trying to shove her daughter aside but wincing in pain. Mother, you can't. We need you. Violet motions to help her mother up, but Cecil slaps her hands away. My hand goes to my forehead, rubbing it. These people are giving me a headache. Goddess, they re-extremists. I turn to Noah and shrug my shoulders, lowering the spear to my side. This is not my place to make decisions. Noah moves closer to us, the people moving away to give him space. Do you submit? He asks Cecil when he is beside me. Never, she says. Forsake, woman. William, is she capable of continuing the fight? It takes a minute for William to answer. All this time, he's been relegated to a corner, watching everything unfold right in front of him, much to his horror. She most definitely isn't, he says. And did she not break the rules by entering to fight my maid instead of her daughter? Yes, William stutters. And what is the punishment for such actions? To death, Your Highness, precisely. But since I am the king, I can decide if she is indeed put to death, is that correct? Yes, my king. Excellent, he turns to Cecil, crouching down to be at eye level with her. So now, I am giving you and your entire family an easy way out. You get to keep your head, your daughter gets to keep hers, and this entirely family continues on existing, if and only if you submit right now. She begins, but William stops her. Cousin, he's stern, I suggest you consider His Highness, our king's gracious offer carefully. Think of the future of this house. Cecil is grinding her teeth and breathing heavily through her nose, pure rage in her expression. I submit, she whispers finally. Noah tilts his head to a side. What was that? I submit, she whispers again. No, I didn't catch that. Again please. I submit, she yells angrily. Ah, there it is. Thank you. He gestures at the maids to come tend to Cecil's wounds and they flock to her with rags, a blanket to cover her, and bandages. She'll need a little more than that for her shoulder wound, but I'm not about to volunteer that information. If I liked her, I'd even offer her some great painkillers I brought from the castle for the next few days. Noah turns his full attention to me now, coming to stand in front of me and lightly brushing through my face with his fingertips. How bad is it? I ask. It's not as painful as it probably looks since the adrenaline is still coursing through my body. He smiles at me. You're already beginning to heal, he notes, kneeling and taking a closer look at my legs. When he stands back up, he takes a rag from one of the maids and begins dabbing it on my face. I wince. This is really going to hurt when my adrenaline comes back down. The crowd has now begun to disperse as quickly as it gathered and only William, Noah, Caleb, Violet, Cecil, the maids, and myself are left in the courtyard. Eli comes through the doors, holding the maid I pointed out earlier by her wrists. What should we do with this one, Doc? He asks. I come closer to her, leaving Noah at the center of the courtyard. She looks like she's about to throw up. When I'm right in front of her, I touch her face with my fingertips, an undeniable current flowing through them. I have no doubt in my mind. This girl is a witch. Her and I need to have a talk. I gesture at Eli to hand her over to me, but before he can, Violet comes running towards us. No, no please, my queen, I beg of you, spare her. This was all our idea, she had nothing to do with this. Violet's eyes are pooling with tears as she pleads for this maid. I frown. What was whose idea? Shut up, you fool! Cecil yells. I sigh, regretting that I didn't get to kill her. If you tell me the truth, Violet, I will spare her, I say, intrigued by Cecil's sudden outburst. She looks at her friend who noticeable gulps. She has some training, you see, in the art of witchcraft, but she's not a witch. I swear. I come closer to Violet, placing my face right in front of hers. Aren't you a lying little princess? I whisper, and she blanches. Violet stutters. I sigh again, this time closing my eyes and massaging my temple. I'm not going to kill her, Violet, I know she's a witch, I just need the rest of the story. What was that thing that Cecil threw at me? It gave me allergies, just in cue, I sneeze, and quite frankly all this bullshit is giving me a headache. Violet is gaping, her friend is close to passing out, and apparently Cecil has run out of snarky comments. It wasn't their idea, I offered my help. The friend finally says, when we found out that His Highness was coming and that Violet would have a real shot at becoming queen, we knew we had to try everything. Okay, now we're getting somewhere, what exactly did you try? She gulps as now my attention is completely on her. I gave Violet a special perfume meant to attract His Highness, it was concocted from special herbs, pheromones, and the king's hair to make it specific to him. I raise an eyebrow at this and turn to Noah, who simply shrugs, not knowing how they acquired his hair either. My mom took some from him when she gave him the tour of the manor, Violet says shyly. Noah takes a quick moment to narrow his eyes at Cecil, who has decided to completely ignore everything that's happening in front of her. And then what? I ask the maid. And that didn't work. We didn't know he had a mate, and that's probably why the pheromones didn't work. She's not wrong, but she also doesn't know that Noah has a natural, an acquired, level of immunity to magic, even concoctions such as hers. And then we wanted to try again, but without having you around, that's why you tried going into his room at night. Yes, she admits, embarrassed, we thought I could seduce him, and if we did it, then he'd have to take me as his wife. And the powder? I ask, ignoring the fact that she just admitted to having plotted to sleep with my mate. That was wolfsbane, and it was meant to poison you, she says, her head down, but it didn't work. I don't know why. Girl, that thing was not wolfsbane, I can guarantee you that, I say. Back at the pack house, we are all taught to detect wolfsbane from miles away to avoid it. If exposed to it for prolonged periods of time, or ingested in large doses, it can be fatal to any wolf. Back home, if you're a trained warrior, you are given small quantities over time to create certain immunity to it, at least enough so that it doesn't kill you right away. This is how I was trained. It makes sense that they wanted me to turn, too, since wolfsbane is more effective on our beast forms than our human forms. This thing, however, whatever it was, did not smell, taste, or feel like wolfsbane. Oh, she simply says, genuinely surprised. So, what do we do with her? Eli asks, still holding on to the girl. I think for a while, and on instinct, perhaps guided by my wolf, I say, let her go. He moves an eyebrow at me. Excuse me. Yeah, let her go. She's harmless. She can't even tell what's wolfsbane and what isn't. Her head sags, embarrassed at my comment. Fine, Eli says, letting her go, and she falls to the ground. Violet and her immediately hug tightly, crying into each other. Grateful that all of this is over, for now, I begin to turn to go back to Noah, but suddenly, Violet's head snaps to the left, as if moved by some invisible force. What happened? I hear Lucas ask as he enters the courtyard. Vera, I stay by Violet, observing her, as she's enthralled by the sight of Lucas. Her friend has separated from her and is looking at her questioningly, then, she follows her line of sight. She looks back and forth between Lucas and Violet, realization crossing her expression. Oh no, she whispers. Violet does not move an inch, but Lucas is striding across the courtyard, past Noah, past Cecil, past Eli, directly to his mate. He kneels in front of her, placing a delicate palm on her cheek and looking at the faint scar my spear left on her face. She's healed by now, of course, but the scar might take a few weeks to disappear. At least I was delicate enough to make the wound very shallow. He turns to me to throws a sour look my way. I thought you weren't going to hurt her, he says in a low, grave voice. Well, she gave me a run for my money, I lie. You promised, he says, his Lycan eyes swirling as he stands up to face me. Crap! He squares up to me, and just as he's about to turn into his beast, a deafening growl comes from right behind me, sending chills down my spine. Before I see him, I feel him. Noah's vicious aura almost makes my knees buckle. I turn back to look at him. His eyes are fully black, his Lycan making its presence known. Everyone behind him, including Caleb and Eli, have taken an involuntary step back. Cecil is paralyzed, her eyes wide with fear. "Touch her, and you die," he says, his thick voice homicidal. Even Lucas, with the courage and momentum provided by his mate bond to Violet, has to take several cautious steps back, his eyes back to normal. Instead of defying him, he unconsciously bows his head. Violet and her friend are frozen in place, looking at Noah in absolute horror. I place a gentle hand on his chest, getting on my tippy toes to kiss his chin. "It's all right, Noah," I say. "Even if I feel his aura as much as the others, it doesn't exactly have the same effect on me." He calms down instantly, his eyes turning back to normal. He smiles down at Violet and her friend, trying to ease their fear. "Well, I think that settles it." He intertwines his fingers with mine and kisses my hand. "Affectionately, shall we? I need to take a closer look at those wounds." I nod, happy to be done with all of this. When we make our way past Cecil, he turns to her. She still hasn't taken her eyes off of Noah once. "When you feel up to it, Cecil, there's a matter I'd like to discuss with you," he says, nodding in the direction of Lucas and Violet, who are now looking at each other adoringly. Cecil follows his gesture, her expression difficult to read. She simply nods at Noah, absent-mindedly. Noah guides me within the manor to his room, which is thankfully a rather short walk compared to the castle. When we get there, he closes and locks the doors behind us. I step further into the room, admiring its quaint decoration. It's very simple, with only the necessary furniture and light fixtures, but it's quite cozy. I like it better than the king's bedroom back at the castle. "I'll run you a hot bath," he says, disappearing into the bathroom. I keep walking around the room, admiring the paintings hanging on the walls. Most of them are of nature and beautiful, relaxing scenery. Making my way to one of the windows, I notice it's in the direction where I saw the greenhouse, and it makes me consider what to do with the girl witch. "Hey," Noah comes up behind me, "what are you staring at? What would you say if we asked that witch to come with us?" "I would tell you that if there's one thing I've learned these past months, is that your gut is never wrong," he says, massaging my shoulders. I let my head loll back, resting it on his chest. I moan. "If I get this treatment every time I have to fight for your hand in marriage, it'll be worth it." He chuckles and kisses the top of my head. "Come, the bath is ready." He guides me to the large tub in the center of the bathroom. For some reason, unlike the bedroom, the bath is actually luxurious. It's clear where the priorities lied when this manor was built. According to Cecil, this used to be her husband's favorite room when he was still alive. He starts to take off my top and sports bra, followed by my leggings. I wince as the fabric of the leggings grazes my wounds. He stops. "Is this okay?" "Yeah," I say, closing my eyes. "Just get it off me." He hurries and does as he's told, offering his hand to me as support as I step into the bath. I sink in, the warm water offering immediate relief to my sore muscles. Some of the water turns pinkish as the last unhealed areas of my wounds are still bleeding. "Aren't you going to join me?" I ask him. After a few seconds of consideration, he smiles at me and begins taking off his clothes. I scoot forward to make room for him. Even if the tub is enormous, I still want him close to me. He sits behind me, letting me place my back to his chest as he continues to rub my shoulders, back, and nape. "I didn't think that little girl could be so aggressive," he comments. "I don't think that was all her. There are some roots that can be used to make someone much more aggressive, even raise their stamina. I'm guessing her witch friend had something to do with it. I thought all witches were gone. For the most part they are, according to my grandmother. Some have remained here to try and live out their normal lives, but that girl is different. She's young, and I don't just mean her looks. Most witches appear young, but they can be hundreds of years old." "You're joking," he says, stopping his massage to raise a brow at me. "I wish. My grandmother doesn't look a day over 30, same as my aunt. That witch I killed. Mehra? Her body looked more like a corpse when I went to burn her, meaning she was way older than she looked." He sighs and continues massaging me. We don't say a word for a while, both of us deep in thought. "Noah. Yeah. Your aura, it's getting a little out of control." He doesn't say anything. "The guys have begun to notice," I continue. "It's the second time in this trip that you scare them half to death. Back in the forest I thought it was because of our dry spell, but today, I drift off, not wanting to pressure him into talking about it if he doesn't want to. I'm sorry but I don't know what you mean." I turn around to face him. "What do you mean you don't know what I mean? Did you not notice Lucas lowering his head just now?" The other guys took several steps back too, not knowing what to do. Even Violet and her friend were about to cry because they were so scared. He genuinely has no idea what I'm talking about, judging by his expression. "Noah, what did you feel when Lucas was about to attack me?" I ask him. "Anger, naturally." "Yes, but what besides anger? The need to submit him? The desire for him to obey you?" He considers this for a few seconds. "No, none of that. I just knew that if he touched you, I'd cut his hands off." I frown, not really knowing how to continue on this conversation. If he has no idea what I'm talking about, he can provide little to no insight into what this is. It feels exactly like an alpha wolf aura, and the reaction from everyone around him is the reaction every wolf would have to an alpha, but now, I'm second-guessing myself. I know alphas use their aura willingly to submit others, make them bend to their will, but Noah is doing it unconsciously. It's both impressive and incredibly worrying that he has no idea what he's doing with such impressive presence. I bite my lip. "You look worried," he says. I shake my head. "No, I'm just thinking. There is really only one person who could offer some insight, and that person is Sophia." I turn my back to Noah, once again letting my body rest against his. Even with all the thoughts and worries in my head, soon after our conversation is done, I am half asleep. Fighting Violet and Cecil has drained me. After a while, I feel Noah lift me off of the bath and carry me to the bed. He lightly dabs a towel all across my body as I drift off to sleep. I open my eyes slightly. It feels like I've slept hours already, but I need more. Something woke me up. Hey, it's just me. It's Noah making his way across the bed to me. Soon, I feel his large arm come over me, cradling me to him. He kisses my cheek gently, then my forehead, then my nose, and then my shoulder. I sigh in complete contentment and quickly go back to sleep, lulled by Noah's warmth. Noah, after toweling Vera dry and making sure she was asleep, I exit the room slowly, making sure not to wake her. I knew Vera was an excellent fighter already, but could she had gotten better these past months? Even Caleb commented on how impressed he was with her fighting, not that I'm surprised. Anyone who hasn't already seen her fight will naturally doubt her abilities, and Caleb was nowhere close when she was fighting Alistair's army. Still, I wasn't expecting for any of this to happen. Violet using magic to enhance her abilities? Cecil going against a centuries-old tradition and interrupting an official fight? What the actual thing? I had to fight every muscle in my body to not kill Cecil the minute she stepped into the ring. If not because Vera indicated that she could handle her, I wouldn't have hesitated, and well, as Eli later pointed out, it would be a political nightmare. Politics. I'm really sick and tired of that shit. I walk through the manor in the direction of my objective. When I'm there, I knock decisively on the door. Come in, Cecil says. I open the door and step into the room, the maids tending to her quickly bowing to me. They didn't do that before. Queen Cecil, I say. I've been saying her name like this sarcastically this entire time, but I don't believe she ever caught on to that. Your Highness, she says, standing up from her chair and bowing to me as well, please, just Cecil. That's a first. Cecil, there are matters we have to discuss. Of course, Your Highness. As she says this, the maids scatter, one of them closing the door behind them to make sure we have complete privacy. Cecil remains standing, a feat that is noticeably hard for her at the moment. Through her flowy dress, I can see her stomach has been heavily bandaged where Vera injured her with the sword, her left arm is resting on a sling, her back heavily bandaged as well. There is a faint smell of herbs. Please, sit, I motion for her to take a seat again, but she doesn't budge. Fine, I say, sitting first across from her. This is her cue to sit down. It's a very stupid custom if you ask me. Well, I think it's very evident that Lucas, my warrior, is Violet's goddess chosen mate. I'm here to ensure they can be together. Her lips press into a thin line. Your Highness, with all due respect, I can't allow that to happen, she says. Despite how much contempt I've felt for this woman during our stay here, I know that she's only following the rules and traditions she's been taught her entire life. Really, I'm angry at the entire system, not just her. Okay. I say, leaning forward in my seat, thing is, they will end up together, Cecil. I'm only here as a courtesy to you and your family since you were so gracious to host us these past few days. Since when can a king decide on how we choose to live our lives, hey? After everything we have done for the crown and the royal family, this is how you repay us? My husband would be ashamed to have served such a family. Violet is of pure blood, she will not marry a lowly warrior. She narrows her eyes at me. Well, first of all, it's an honorable trait. You wouldn't know because all you have here are servants and stable boys that you have chosen to call warriors. Second of all, Lucas is not just a warrior, he's like a little brother to me, meaning he will forever have my favor, the king's favor, I say, but she stays quiet, staring at me defiantly. I lean back on my seat, crossing my arms. Lucky for you, this also means I have secured him a council seat when he's of age. Her eyes widen. What? She whispers. You heard me correctly. He will have a council seat when he is of age, and since Lucas, like myself, is an orphan, he will have no trouble taking up your family name, making sure it does not die with you and Violet. Her hand flies to her mouth. But how? There is a fixed number of seats. She pauses. Oh no, don't tell me you will take it away from another house. We would not survive the political retaliation. If that's the case, I rather you don't. I would. I cut her off. He's taking William's seat. She gapes at me. William's seat? Did he already agree to this? Yes, he did. I don't understand. What did you offer him instead? A comfortable retirement. I explain. William isn't wed, and he's taken a vow of celibacy after his chosen mate passed away, meaning he will die childless. He was more than thrilled to offer up his seat to someone from his house. She stays silent for a while, processing this news. A council seat is the best anyone can hope for apart from being king, hence being the wife to a council member is as good as it gets without being queen. Your Highness. I don't know what to say, how to thank you, she trails off. Don't thank me. Thank the goddess for mating your daughter to Lucas. Out of the corner of my eye, I see a shadow emerging from one of the entrances to the manor. It's a figure with a cloak, and a bag. I raise my head to sniff the air coming in from the open window and chuckle. Quite frankly, I think your daughter had already made up her mind. Anyway, I nod at the figure and Cecil peeks through the window. It is indeed Violet under that cloak, and she's carrying a big enough bag to make her intentions clear. Also, she's heading for the stables. When Cecil turns back to look at me, she doesn't look angered by this. Instead, her expression has softened. She's a good girl, you know. All of her life, all she ever wanted to do was please her father and I. Her expression turns sad. To find one's mate is such a blessing from the goddess. I have no doubt that Lucas is a very special man, one deserving of my daughter. She wipes at a tear that fell on her cheek. Everything we did, Your Highness, was out of desperation. Our house was about to die. With the death of my husband, all of our political credibility died with him. Violet was willing to marry anyone who would help revive this house's name, and when William wrote to us, saying you were interested and that we were the first house you would visit, we couldn't, under any circumstance, let that opportunity pass. It was our last chance. I turned to look at the window. Suddenly, Cecil doesn't seem I saw her as before. Even if I don't agree with her methods, she's just a mother trying her best to secure a good future for her daughter. We stay quiet after this and I let my mind wander in the silence. Inevitably, it always wanders back to Vera. Finding one's mate really is the ultimate blessing by the goddess. How is your mate, Your Highness? Cecil asks, now composed. Noah, please. My friends just call me Noah. My request takes her aback, but she nods as I turn my attention to her. She's sleeping. I say. We could perhaps offer her some medicine, it really does work wonders and maybe Lilith can tend to her wounds. She's healed, I say, keeping my answers short. I don't really want to discuss Vera with someone who showed such hostility towards her, even if I now understand why. Oh, she heals fast, Cecil frowns. For a wolf. I voice her confusion. She smiles sheepishly. They're a lot more resilient than you'd think, I say, mostly speaking to myself and staring back out the window. A moment passes before Cecil speaks again. She really is something special, isn't she? I smile at this, a polite smile at that. You have no idea. Your Highness, if I may, she begins, but waits for me to nod before she continues. The other houses will stop at nothing to get you to marry their daughters. I can tell you from experience, they are brutal. If you think our antics were bad, wait until you experience theirs. Wolfsbane will be the least of your concerns. Your mate is clearly smart and perceptive, not to mention a brilliant fighter, but how much more will you put her through until you finally have to take in a wife, anyway? She can't keep fighting these women forever. I grind my teeth, staring directly at Cecil. No. Absolutely not. No. There will be no more fighting for Vera. This ends now. And I will not take in a wife. Council. I feel my Lycan rising to the surface slowly, but I control it before he comes too close. When I come out of my thoughts and focus back on Cecil, I notice she's staring at me with wide eyes, and her heart is racing abnormally fast. I frown and think back to what Vera said earlier, about my aura or whatever. She looked worried back in the bath. Maybe I have to start paying closer attention to this thing. Thank you for your advice, Cecil, I say, standing up. No, please, she stands up, wincing in pain. I thank you for what you have given this house, Your Highness. You will forever have this house's loyalty and gratitude. If ever you need of me, please feel free to write to me. I smile at her, coming close to her to shake her hand. I might have to take you up on that, I say, squeezing her hand slightly. Anytime, she says, a genuine smile on her face. Have a good night, I say, making my way to the door. You too, she says. And with that, I return to the only place I ever want to be. At Vera's side. Vera Cecil, Noah shakes her hand. Thank you for hosting us, and for letting Violet come with us. I promise you she will be taken care of. Your Highness, Cecil bows, on the contrary, thank you for coming to meet us. It was very gracious of you. The entire exchange between these two strikes me as odd, but I make a mental note to ask Noah about it later. I don't want to ruin the moment. We had both woken up at around 6 a.m. and everyone else was already having breakfast and preparing to leave. To my surprise, Violet was already having breakfast too, right next to Lucas. The mark on her neck not going unnoticed. I had looked at Caleb in hopes for an explanation, but he had simply shrugged. Considering we were all having a very peaceful breakfast, I didn't think to question it, either. How are you feeling? Lucas asked me when I sat down. Rested, I had answered with a smile. He returned one of his own but quickly returned his attention to Violet. I was genuinely happy to see this entire episode come to an end, and with such a happy resolution. Violet was coming with us, Lucas was going to be able to be with his mate. Hey, what's the next house we're visiting anyway? I asked after a while. William gives me a curious look. We're going back home, Noah had answered. Home? Something has come up with the council, we have to sort it out before we can continue, William explained. Oh. I said simply, sipping on my tea. A moment passes and a thought crosses my mind. Oh, Violet, I turn to her and she blushes. I was hoping I could talk to your friend before we left. I'd like to extend an offer for her to come train with us at the castle. Ah yes, Kasia. I'll have her called. She quickly lowered her eyes to her empty plate and not another word was spoken between us. And so here we are, saying our last goodbyes to Cecil and this place, before returning to the castle. Are we running or walking? Eli asks, stretching out his arms. I thought we'd walk for a while. I hear you guys have a lake close by. Noah asks Violet. Ah, yes, Your Highness, it's on a longer path than the original one but it's still in the direction of the castle, she says, lowering her gaze. Noah, please, he says, how long until we get there if we walk? She quickly looks at Lucas, confirming that it's really okay to call him Noah. He smiles back at her, reassuringly. About a day's walk, she answers, still refusing to call him by his name. Well then, lead the way. Very well, she smiles and takes Lucas's hand, leading the party. Noah takes my hand as we begin walking. You're a miracle worker, Noah, I whisper to him. He gives me a look. Violet, I say, gesturing at her and Lucas happily walking in front of us. Oh, that, he says, I've come to learn one thing these past months. Politics is nothing more than figuring out what people want, and offering it to them in exchange for what you want. And what did you offer her? I ask, curious. Not her. Lucas. I gave him William's council seat, I gape at him. And William just accepted that. Surprisingly, yes. It's a mutually beneficial arrangement. I'm shocked, I say, even then, it's hard to believe Cecil would allow this to happen. I gesture once again at Lucas and Violet. Noah smiles. I think she also realized Violet would make her own decision. If she pushed her hand, I would have left her in her house with nothing, and Violet still would have chosen her mate, anyway. We stay quiet after this and I look at Lucas and Violet. They're both chatting away with the biggest smiles on their faces. Even if I hated her when I first met her, she really does strike me as a sweet girl now, one that is deserving of Lucas. After only about an hour of walking, a voice is heard shouting from behind the bushes directly to our side. Wait! Please! Wait for us! We all stop, curious. Jeremy emerges from the side of the road, dragging a heavy backpack. Please, please wait for us, he's doubled over, catching his breath. Did we make it? Another voice comes from behind him. Kasia emerges from behind her brother. Both of them are covered in leaves, a few cuts, and drawing in labored breaths. Kasia. Violet comes rushing to her friend and hugs her. I couldn't find you before I left. Oh! Goddess, where were you? We were waiting on the road. Queen Cecil gave Kasia permission to come, but not me. If we left the manor with you guys, she would have known I was planning on coming along, too, Jeremy explains. But you guys never came. We figured after a while that you must have taken another road, so we ran all this way. When Kasia and Jeremy compose themselves, they suddenly realize it's no ordinary party they have joined. Your Highness! They both yell at the same time. We are so sorry for the intrusion, and we are so sorry to delay your journey, Jeremy bows. Kasia has also bowed her head, but they both peek at Noah when he doesn't say a word. Kasia begins, but gulps. I can hear her heart starting to beat very fast. She stares at me. Lady Vera invited me to come and I couldn't leave Jeremy behind. She's starting to panic and Noah still doesn't say anything. He's just having fun with them, but I find it cruel to extend their worry. This girl's chest is practically vibrating from her elevated heartbeat. Of course, it's okay for you two to come, I say finally. I didn't realize Jeremy would also like to join us, so I didn't think of inviting him, but it's no trouble. The color returns to both of their faces. Thank you, they both say, bowing profusely. Jerk, I whisper at Noah. He chuckles as he takes my hand again and we resume our walk. I never knew I'd enjoy making people sweat like that, but it's become the highlight of my days, he explains, and I roll my eyes. Hours pass and we all continue walking in smaller clusters. Jeremy and Kasia quickly joined Violet and Lucas up front. Caleb, William, and Eli are also talking amongst themselves and walking in front of us. Noah and I are still holding hands and just enjoying each other's company. What's the emergency that came up with the council? I ask, finally. He sighs. We're not doing this anymore, he says after a few minutes. Doing what? Looking for a wife. I turn to look at him. What? I ask, maybe a little too loudly, as Eli turns to look at me momentarily. It's too dangerous. Look at how many unexpected issues we had here. Cecil tried to poison you, for sake. What's to say what the other houses have in store? Noah, whatever it is, I can take it. Well, you shouldn't have to. You know the council will never allow this, Noah. I stop in front of him. You can't just throw away the negotiations. It took you guys months to even have these families to agree to meet with you. My decision is final, Vera. You will not put your life at risk for the pleasure of these decrepit old men. And so, what if they don't like it? I am the king. I can make them disappear and they know that. This wife bullshit is done. Noah walks past me, angry. Fortunately, no one else was close enough to hear our little argument. I keep walking behind the group, feeling defeated. There's a reason why I didn't want to be with Noah at first. I was afraid that, whatever I was, would put him in danger. So many months later, who would have thought that my worst fear would become true? Our mate bond is truly a liability for him and this kingdom. I come closer to Eli, Caleb, and William and realize the entire group has stopped. Eli is taking off his bag and placing it on the ground. It's time for lunch, Doc, he says, taking a seat on the ground. I drop my bag next to him and walk a few meters into the woods. He looks at me questioningly, but says nothing. I need some time alone. I place my back against a tree large enough to cover my frame, and slowly begin taking deep breaths. Eventually, with my eyes closed, I connect with my wolf. "Hi, pretty girl," I tell her. She comes to me and whimpers lightly. I know. I place my head on hers as we both take comfort on each other. A few more moments pass until my concentration is suddenly broken by a ruffling sound behind me. "Vera, hey!" Jeremy calls me. "Sorry, I couldn't find you." "Here," he hands me a little box. I come close to him and take it from his hands, the smell immediately making my mouth water. "I took the liberty of cooking for everyone as a thank you," he says, bowing a little. "That's so nice." "Thank you, Jeremy." I smile genuinely at him. I walk back with him to the clearing where everybody is already eating and sit where I left my bag initially. When I sit down, Eli hands me a water bottle. "Trouble in paradise?" Eli asks as I sip on the bottle and he devours his meal. "Did you know he called off this whole wife search thing?" He nods. "He discussed it with me." "And you're okay with this?" "Yes," he answers with a shrug. "Doc," he wipes his mouth, "Noah is the king, the council doesn't rule over him, as much as they'd like to believe they do." He agreed to all of this because he thought it would take some pressure off your back. You know, being his mate and a wolf, the council naturally isn't a fan of you. But you saw what happened back there. I wouldn't be surprised if they plotted with their houses to get rid of you. For good. I open up my meal and it's a beautiful array of meats, vegetables, and fruits. "Wow," I say. "Yeah, the kid can cook." "I'm glad we stole him from Cecil," Eli says. "Wow at the council wanting me dead," I clarify and begin to eat. He scoffs. "That's how the council works. They can't take no for answer, and the minute they don't like something or someone, they find ways to make it disappear. In this case, it happens to be you." He speaks of this so casually it really makes me wonder whether the threat is serious or not. I get lost in my own thoughts as I continue with my meal. It really is delicious, but I can't really enjoy it considering what Eli just told me. If they really do want me gone, they will stop at nothing to ensure that happens. But if they succeed, Noah will still not take in a wife, I'm sure of it. What's more, if they are found out, if it is known that they went against the explicit wishes of their king, they will all be put to death. Someone clears their throat in front of me, drawing me out of my thoughts. It's Violet and Kasia. Lady Vera," Violet starts, "can we join you?" Violet still can't muster the courage to look me in the eyes and Eli raises his eyebrows at me, clearly amused considering these two tried to kill me less than 24 hours ago. "Just Vera, please, and of course." They both happily plop down in front of me while I continue eating. We wanted to apologize for everything really." Violet starts, not really knowing how to do this. "Yeah, and we didn't really mean to harm you, we just wanted the king to choose Violet," Kasia finishes. Cecil threw what she thought was wolfsbane at me, hoping it would kill me, I comment. Sometimes I'm too blunt for my own good, but these two better make no mistake about what happened back there. They both look at each other nervously. Kasia clears her throat. Yeah, about that. How did you know it wasn't Wolfsbane? She says, casually steering the conversation away from their murder plot. Because it didn't kill her? Obviously, Violet whispers to Kasia, as if the question she asked was too stupid to bother me with. But she's wrong. Wolfsbane tastes sweet initially, then it turns bitter once it starts releasing its poison. It's quite distinct. Tastes? You mean you've tasted it? Violet asks in shock. Of course, I say, licking my spoon. It really was a delicious meal. They don't really know what to say after that, so I take the opportunity to ask them a few questions I had been curious about. How old are you guys, if you don't mind me asking? I turned 17 a month ago, Violet answers proudly. I turn 18 in 3 months, Kasia says. I stare at them. Children. They're both basically children. When William said you were of age, I assumed you were older, I tell Violet. Well, for Lycans, 16 is considered of age. It's when we can safely carry a pup and start our own families, Violet says happily. Goddess, I whisper. The more I learn about Lycan society, the more disappointed I am of it. Only because you could have a baby at 16, doesn't mean you should. Do you mind if I ask you another question? Kasia says, interrupting my thoughts once again. Sure, I say, sipping on my water bottle. Why didn't my concoction work on the king? The one Violet wore as a perfume when they met? I went back and revised my recipe. I've been giving it to women for years and it always works. I thought it was the mate bond, but we tried it on Lucas this morning and he was confused, to say the least. Could it be because the king already bears your mark? You tried it on Lucas. I laugh. Yet, he wasn't too happy with me. Violet admits, blushing, but it did work on him. Poor Lucas. Well, it could be that it's because he bears my mark. It could also have to do with the fact that Noah has a natural immunity to magic, I explain. Immunity to magic? Kasia asks, how is that possible? He comes from a long line of witch hunters, so to speak. In time, they developed certain natural protections against spells and magic in general. Not to mention the added protection my mark likely offers. Wow, they both say at the same time, discreetly turning to look at Noah. After a while, I remember the other question I had for Kasia. Kasia, what was that thing you gave to Violet for the fight? What thing? Some concoction to raise her stamina? She was quite angry, I say, and Violet blushes once again, turning to look away from me. This girl is most definitely not a fighter. That wasn't Kasia, Violet answers. Mother gave me something before the fight, she said it would help me. I didn't think to question what it was. Dried shrub root, Eli answers, it's an old warrior trick. We used it before battles to increase our stamina and aggressivity. With years of usage, we realized it had two terrible side effects. It caused addiction and made many Lycans feral. Many never came back to us. Cecil would give you something so dangerous? Kasia asks, notably displeased with this information. She was desperate, Violet whispers, a feeble attempt at defending her mom. I smile sympathetically at her. I can see none of this was Violet's fault now, but it makes me dislike Cecil even more. All right, ladies. The chatter is over, we have to get back on track if we want to reach this lake by nightfall. Eli says, standing up and offering his hand to me. Again, Vera. We are so sorry about everything. I hope in time you can find it in you to forgive us, Violet says, taking my hand, her expression genuine. Already forgotten, I say, waving my hand dismissively. This seems to satisfy both of them because they jog back to Lucas and Jeremy, looking a lot more relaxed than before. Eli hands me my bag. Doc, whatever this thing between you and Noah is, you both have to put it aside. You will both need to present a united front in whatever he decides from now on. The council will sense if there is any rift between the two of you and will exploit it any way they can. Don't let that happen. I nod and he walks away, joining William and Caleb again. We continue to walk for several more hours, mostly in silence. At nightfall, we reach the lake Noah mentioned. The water is crystal clear, revealing all of the terrain under it. It's quite beautiful, but it's hard to see why Noah wanted to see it. We'll sleep here for the night. Eli says, dumping his bags on the ground and starting to build the campsite. Everyone gets busy helping Eli and I go off into the woods on my own to collect firewood, but I feel someone following me. I turn around. Hey, Noah says, listen, I'm sorry for getting mad earlier, I'm really not mad at you, it's just this entire situation. I shouldn't have let it happen. None of it. He's massaging the back of his neck. No, I'm sorry, I come close to him, I realize how much pressure you're under, and I thought all of this was going to help you get the council off your back, that's why I agreed to it in the first place. He takes my hands in his. Vera, this isn't your kingdom to fix, quite frankly, it isn't mine either. We aren't the problem. It's everything else. It's old traditions, customs, we will never move forward if things don't change. Even opening up new trade routes is cause for argument in the council, it's incredibly childish and counterproductive. I smile up at him and he sighs, releasing my hands as we both begin to look for firewood. You know you can talk to me about any of this anytime, right? I tell him after a while. I know, but when I'm with you, the last thing I want is to relieve the shitty day I've had. So, what's the plan now? Ditching the families and your wife doesn't just mean we are vulnerable to rogues, it also means trade will suffer. I was hoping I'd come up with an idea before we reached the castle, he admits. So, taking the scenic route gives us a couple of days extra before we get there. After a few minutes, when we gather enough firewood, we head into the campsite where the tents are already up. Violet, Jeremy, and Kasia are running around the lake. Lucas, Caleb, William, and Eli are finishing up with the tents. Before we step within sight, I think of something. It's a long shot, but it's worth considering. Hey, Noah! I think I have an idea. Join our Facebook and WhatsApp group for more updates, link is given in description, rest audiobook will be continued in next episode.